Welcome to Jaunty Haunts, the podcast about all things supernatural. After 30 years of keeping a secret, I'm finally ready to share with the world that I see ghosts. Yep, I've been having conversations with the other side while trying to keep up appearances. This podcast is all about getting spooky and connecting with others who might also sense, see, or feel things beyond the ordinary. We'll swap true tales of the seen and unseen, and maybe even laugh about the weird stuff we've experienced. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, come join me as we explore the paranormal. Let's connect, share, and maybe feel a little less crazy together. Welcome to Jaunty Haunts. Okay, everyone, welcome to episode 5. Listeners, we've got East Coast Hauntings and Lore Part 2 coming in today. Just like our West Coast saga, this is part 2 of our East Coast saga. We're just starting to dip our toes into the paranormal side of the East Coast. We've got some fun stories coming up, some fun guests, and a CASPER rating of 7. So without further ado, please enjoy East Coast Lore and Hauntings Part 2. The personal story you are about to hear is entitled Subway Spirits. Trigger warning for body mutilation, injury, and violence. It was the first week that I moved to New York City. It was maybe the second time in my life I had ever taken the subway. I had just gotten to the city and we were living uptown, really far uptown at the very tip top of Manhattan. And our stop was 191st Street, which if you've been there before, you know it is 17 stories underground into the earth. You can feel it. You can feel how far down you're going, and it's like the air almost does get a little thicker. And when I moved, it was in August, so it was certainly hot and peak humidity for New York. We were going, I honestly don't remember what we were going to do. It was something really boring, like, oh, well, let's go and get some stuff at Target because we don't have enough pillows, something really basic. So we get down to the subway platform and the energy is really intense. Right away, I was pretty shocked. And again, this is my first week living here, and I want to make it clear I had only been to New York one time before I moved here. And I had just kind of forgotten that the subway platforms don't have like guardrails, which if you live here, you know that they do now. Some select stations, they're putting up some sort of random metal guardrails, but for the most part, they don't. And on 191st, the platform, it just felt really thin, and we were waiting for our train to come. And, sometimes the express trains will zoom through the middle track, and there were some papers kind of flying around the air of one subway passing in front of another one, and this and that, and it's already super overstimulating because you have, a lot of people. Some babies are crying, some people are running around, there's music going on, there's so much. It's kind of hard to ground yourself and take a hold and grasp what's going on. Then add, the 109-degree heat and 100% humidity on top of that. It becomes overwhelming for the senses very quickly. So then I hear almost like a scream or a moan, right? Not like a shrill, bloody murder scream, but also not like, ooh, sort of like that. I don't think I can replicate it, but, someone moaning for help, that, And I turn quick over my left shoulder and I look, and in the tracks, there's a man laying in the tracks. I know this is a bad way to term this, but I said like a half man, right? It looked like a person just from the torso up in sort of like a white, grayish button up with a scraggly striped tie and like a dark charcoal gray overcoat that was all patchy and ripped up. And it was dragging itself along the tracks and reaching up moaning and kind of screaming towards me, and my breath dropped out, and I looked at all the people next to me, and it's that moment where you realize very quickly, oh, no one else sees this. Okay, so it's comforting in a sense, but also very uncomfortable because you're reckoning with reality. Is what I just saw really there? You know, when you're already so overtaken by the lights, the sounds, the smells, the temperature, why would my brain create something even more horrible to add on top of that, on top of this weird, like, city shit sandwich of, like, just trying to get your bearings. And my boyfriend kind of heard my breath drop out. I went, oh, and he was like, hey, are you okay? And I, like, glanced down to where I'm seeing the man pulling himself across the tracks, reaching up at me, and I glanced back at him, and again, I know he's not seeing it, so I just say, yeah, even though I'm not, and we just keep walking. And this spirit, I think, had clearly, I used the word clearly loosely, right? What I interpreted was that this was someone who, it didn't seem like it was an accident, had either jumped or maybe even pushed, but had jumped in front of a train at some point and was cut in half. And I want to make it clear I didn't see his legs or the bottom half of him, but yeah, it was half of a man pulling himself and moaning like a true Ebenezer Scrooge ghost story of wailing for help. And then our train came and we left. It's those moments of, with this, right? What can you do? Say a prayer if you believe in God. But I don't know. So now I'll get into the second subway story I have. And this one's even more crazy, if you can believe it. Even more creepy and intense. There was one day that the energy of like astrologically, right, was very intense. I don't remember if it was like a eclipse or Mercury in retrograde, or I think it actually might have been the solar eclipse, like that last really big solar eclipse we had where people, took time off work to run outside and put their eclipse glasses on and see it. I think that was like April of 2024, maybe. Anyway, there was some big thing going on with the planets and the sun. And so the energy was already off. The weather was warm. People were angry. And it's so funny in New York City, right? Especially when you're taking the subway, because it's so easy to get sucked into someone else's energy, whatever they have going on. It's very difficult, at least for me. And I know it is for other people too, because I see how easily one person's bad day can affect everybody else around them, right? So I am waiting to get on a train going uptown, and basically the whole platform was very full. It was going to be a very packed train. So the train arrives, and as people are stepping off the subway car, it's a lot of people coming up. I think I might have been at Columbus Circle, so it's a busy station. No, it was at Columbus Circle, because I remember looking at the sign when I saw what's coming up. So people are getting off. By the time you finally get on, it's like, okay. But the great thing was so many people got off that there were plenty of seats. So I sat down. I don't usually sit. I usually just stand because it's easier to keep seats open for people, and it's easier to get off when it's your time to get off, right? So I sat, and to my right, we hear the please stand away from the doors. Doors closing. Please step away from the doors. And the doors keep trying to shut, but they can't shut. Trying to shut, it's like someone is putting their foot in, right? Or trying to stop it. And if one car, someone is doing that too, it happens to multiple cars, right? It's not just one train. It can be multiple train cars that if someone's trying to stop the train or hold the doors open, it can happen for the other doors on the train car. So the doors won't shut, and finally, this sounds so crazy. I know it does, but I have to explain what I saw. It's almost as if it was like an alien movie, but it wasn't an alien, right? But I just see these long fingers curve around the side of the door and push the doors open. And, oh, God, it makes my stomach fucking drop. This, like, you know, humanoid sort of type head pushes its way in first with its neck following, and then its torso, and then its hips, and then its knees, and then its feet. And the minute I see it, right? I catch my eyes against it. I'm like, oh my God, whatever this is, I want nothing to do with it. And it's something that about living in New York City makes you feel even more crazy, because there are so many people who on the regular, ignore anything that's happening around them, right? So this could be real, this could not be. This could be a person in a morph suit and crazy special effects makeup just riding the subway for a reaction. Either way, no one is reacting, but the energy from this creature was so like malignant and negative and just like disgustingly prickly that I knew I just didn't want to be a part of it. So I looked at the ground, and this thing starts, like, I want to say walking, but it didn't even look like it was like, oh God, it's like making me nauseous. It was like, you know, meandering through the car, working its way down. I was sort of towards the middle of the train, and it came in on one of the ends, you know. So it's coming down, slipping and sliding around, you know, this pole, not in like a cute slutty way, like literally just like, it's like the energy it took for it to pick up its leg and push it down, it would sort of glide. And, you know, I'm seeing this all out of my peripheral, and I'm like, the energy of the people around me isn't changing, which makes me feel like this is in my mind's eye. This is something that maybe is not for sharing, right? It's just me seeing it. And it gets to a point where it's right in front of me, and it stops. It's looking towards the end of the car, like its profile is towards me, but it stops in front of me. And I just know that, like, if I give it an ounce of energy, it's gonna do something, right? It's gonna get in my face. It's gonna glom onto me. It's gonna try to suck some of my energy, whatever. Like, you know, people say like, oh, ghosts can't hurt you. Like, sure, but I don't know what this is. And also not true. Ghosts can hurt you, okay? They can move shit in your house. It can fall on your head. They can scratch your back. There's so much. It's just like, whatever. Tell yourself whatever you need. But like, yes, they can. Anyway, it starts to turn and look at me. I just look deeper into my phone, and instead of feeling like, try to ignore it, I'm still putting out energy that way. I just open an app on my phone, and I just start to very, you know, intentionally pick out details about the post that I'm seeing, right? Oh, it's a guy, he has his dog, his hair is brown, the dog's hair is white. You know, like literally anything, like almost like you think to get yourself out of a panic attack, you're noticing sensory things. It's like that, like just try to take your brain off of the creature that's in front of you. We get to the next stop, and the thing straightens up, like it's going back to whatever its mission was. And I got off the fucking train. I got off early. I was like, I'm waiting for the next subway because it was scary, and I don't know what it was, and I had never seen anything like that in my life up until that point, and I didn't want to give it any more time or chances to interact with me, so I let that go. But yeah, those are two of my creepiest subway stories, and I say that frowning because they were not fun experiences to have.
Hey listeners, I hope you enjoyed that story. We are now moving on to the talk show portion of the episode. We've got Double Trouble again this week with Sierra and Jordan. First, we're going to pick up where we left off with the ghost stories in Sierra's house, and then we're going to jump back into our interview with Jordan, where we talk about our haunted New York apartment. Enjoy!
Well, one that I want you to tell too was in my building when I was there.
Yeah.
And I just, that was crazy. I always forget about the man too.
I know, that one's too scary.
I do kind of want to hear that one too. I want you to tell both of them. But the woman one in particular, this was like the first time that I had been with you when you had seen something.
Yeah.
And my fiance and I were in...
You guys were like making margaritas for us or
something.
We
were like making drinks in the kitchen, and Courtney was sort of sitting facing us like in the foyer, sort of in like the kitchen doorway just because it's such a small kitchen. So she was like sitting on a chair there chatting with us while we did that. And we're talking, and Courtney like keeps like looking over to the left and like and going like checking back in. And she does it a couple times and she finally goes, "I'm sorry, someone's here." And I was like, "What? Who? What?" And I go out, I don't see anything. She's like, "Yeah, it's a woman. She's like in like a place. She seems very nice. She really likes you guys. She's waving. Okay, yeah, like long blonde hair, maybe like bangs. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, she's gone. Did you feel that breeze? Yeah, she's gone." I was like, "What? I'm sorry? What the fuck?"
It was such a good one. She was so sweet. Like, this is the only way I can describe her. Seriously, it was like Babette from Gilmore Girls. Like, the best little, like, "How you doing, sugar?" Like, that vibe.
I love it.
She was just, like, literally, like, so much of that. And because she was blonde, I was like, maybe this is, like, a Sierra's ancestor or something. But, like, her clothes looked like from the 80s. So that's why I'm like, I don't think that, unless you can confirm, like, someone else maybe who would have passed, like, in their 50s or 60s. But I know Tim's blonde as well. I mean,
I know, but
I felt like she was more building related.
Yeah.
I almost feel like sometimes with my, my woo-woo alarms, that sometimes it's like akin to when you smell someone cooking something really good, that you want to peek in and be like, "Oh my God, what are you cooking in here? It smells so good."
Yeah.
It's kind of like a beacon with me.
Yeah.
So sometimes spirits will come from whatever they're maybe usually doing or where they are to be like, "Oh my God, are you a beacon in here?" What are you cooking? So I feel like that's why I'm like, okay, if she's not an ancestor of yours, maybe she's a past tenant. But she also seemed like she kept wanting to go into the apartment next door too,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, she really liked you. You told the story perfectly. That's literally what happened.
Yeah.
It's like something caught my attention, and she was standing there, and like literally it was almost like she had like these like jeans on with like these higher like white boots, and like sort of like a pinkish maroonish sweater with like some sort of like over like fuzzy like white vest type thing. And like, yeah, like longer blonde hair with like cute bangs, but like kind of like country-ish, almost Dolly Parton inspired like vibes.
Interesting.
But like still very New York at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense. But yeah, she just was like literally like, "Oh my God, hey, what's up? Hey." And then just like peaced out. And I haven't seen her at your place again.
It was wild. Also, my fiance was there. I was like, see?
He's like, "Yeah, I see your friend is a fucking crazy person."
No. But that happened. There was, I must have like sort of suppressed the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, there was another time I was over that, again, another sort of wandering spirit, which was like a man who, it's weird too, because that's why I felt weird, because it almost like he had like Tim's dad's hair, if that makes sense. Like,
was he older?
Yeah.
Oh, it could have been his grandpa, his opa.
But the energy was not good. But yeah, he was like really tall. I thought he was one of your rescue dog. I thought it was one of her previous owners, because it's like, it was right after you got Sadie. He was very attached to her. He kept like looking at her and kind of doing this like lip thing, like, ugh, like,
oh, I don't like that.
No, that's what I was saying.
I'm so protective of her.
Yeah, and like, it was this weird dynamic where it's like the dog clearly like made him happy, but he was also like, ugh, like it was like an inconvenience to him or something. Like, what? Like, what do you want? Like sometimes with spirits, it's like people. It's like, what do you want? Like, what is your purpose? But he just was negative and like in the corner and was just looking around, and, like had his hand in his pocket, doing like a kicking motion, like, what do you like? What is your fucking deal? What are you doing?
I don't like it.
But I told you to cleanse. I told you to clear, and I haven't seen him back.
Yeah, you did. You walked me through a sort of like exercise to get him out, and you said he was a little pissed about it.
Yeah, he didn't want to go. Yeah. That's where it felt, and again, I'm not trying to scare you bad, but it felt like it was like becoming something else, almost like a little more like, it's so weird because I've never had to articulate these things that I sort of experience and see, like in that third eye. But I'll be honest, like it's almost like sometimes the spirit of, it's gonna sound so crazy, but like it's like seeing a skeleton of a person kind of pushing through their skin,
Oh, interesting.
trying to be like something innately different within them is parting ways with the spirit of either the soul and the body, or the negative energy and the corporeal spirit, or like maybe something, you know, more malicious or malignant. I don't know, but either way, it's like as you're cleansing, I see that imagery, and usually when I see that imagery, it's like something is being forced out, like that skull through the skin type thing.
Ew.
I know, yucky, sorry.
No. It's okay. It's okay. I asked.
But yeah,
I will say, I mean, granted, we had just gotten Sadie, so it makes sense that over time she would get more comfortable. But
Right.
I do feel like,
after you did what you did.
yeah, she's really gotten so much more at ease and just comfortable with us, comfortable at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she a baby now.
She a baby. She old. She is old, but she is baby. And she is my baby. And I love her. And she is loud, but she's my loud baby. And I protect her.
You're a good mommy.
Yes, I am.
Wait, speaking of dog spirit, I had one more story on my list about, do you remember that?
Yes, you have to tell it.
Okay, so this was a creepy one. I should change the dog's name actually for their privacy, because they seem like a very private family.
Yeah.
So we'll call him Chappie.
Great.
So I was dog sitting Chappie, and they had a beautiful, sprawling, renovated apartment on the Upper West Side.
Yeah.
And these people have money, like real, like money. And so, you know, it was funny. I got dropped off. What the? I keep saying weird words today.
Why?
I don't know. Who dropped me off? I did have a gummy earlier. But like hours ago. Why is my gummy hitting now? Maybe because I took a nap after I had it. So I arrived at Chappie's home. And, you know, a lot of the lights were off, but it was like a very long apartment. So it was like a lot of dark corridors, a lot of kind of creepy kooky, but like, you know, nice renovated new apartment. Oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Okay. So anyway, you know, it was a night sit. So basically I arrived at like 3 and I was going to leave at like 10. So we went for a walk. We did all the normal things, the dog things. They didn't have a TV in the main living area. Like it was just framed photos, which I thought was really weird. But luckily I brought my laptop because I was going to be working on the pod. So I was like, it's cool. I'll do some research, whatever. And this dog is a lover boy. You know this dog.
Sweet.
He's so
I used
sweet.
to walk him too.
Yeah. And it was weird seeing how clingy he was in his own house.
Yeah.
Because usually dogs will, you know, they'll give you cuddles and lovies, but then they'll usually like, go play with their toy or go be in their bed, or they'll just kind of like sleep next to you. But he was literally glued to me and like was so anxious. And I was like, it's just separation anxiety. He misses his parents or whatever, right? But I'd get up to go to the bathroom and he would like follow me, and then like it'd be quiet, and then I just hear like and like pawing on the door.
Oh, baby.
And I'm like, this is his house. Like, this is crazy. Like, it must be really bad separation anxiety. So anyway, the night goes on. It's dark out now. I'm working on the pod, and I all of the sudden darts up.
All of us.
Oh,
Chappie.
thank you. All of the sudden, Chappie like darts up and just starts barking down this long, dark hall. And I'm like, hey, it's okay. What's going on? And I look, and there's a little boy standing there.
I hate it.
Like, literally, like a little.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, it was the camera. I think it died. Ew, I hate that it happened right then, though. It's okay. We know the camera was dying. It's okay.
Ew!
Our camera just died right when I said that.
Oh my
Sierra,
God.
it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, I looked down the... Oh my God! Sorry, I had to do it. Are you okay? Have you released some of that fear a little bit?
No.
This is why I never wanted to record at my house for both of our sakes. Well, we don't have access to open studios anymore, so.
Yeah. For the best.
Okay, I'm sorry I did that. It was just right there.
It's fine. You had to. I don't blame you. It's something I would have done.
So anyway, there's a little boy standing in the hallway. Chappie is losing his mind. And so I like clock the little boy, and I am so scared that I don't even want to take enough time to engage with him and or try to see like what is going on. So I like see him, clock it, I look down immediately, and I'm like pretending like I didn't. So I'm like, Chappie, nothing is there. You are okay. Everything is fine. And I like am petting him, and I pick him up, and he like is calming down a little bit. But I look up again, and the boy is in the room with us now.
Gross.
In the corner.
Disgusting.
On the left side of us, in the corner, just fucking standing there. And I'm like, if I engage with like, and I know this is a crutch, but I'm like, there's no TV in this room. If I can turn on Disney Channel or like Netflix and like watch Great British Bake Off, like, okay, I can deal with the fact that there's like a fucking child ghost in the room. But I have no way out of this. And like my phone is also dying. So I'm like, what am I going to sit alone in this silent, dark apartment with this ghost and like no media to change the vibe? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just like, fuck, like, you know, so I just like literally am totally seeing it. I think it thinks that I see it, but I'm not interacting with it. And finally it like dissipates, it goes, calms down, but his little heart and Chappie calms down. Finally, Chappie calms down. The ghost dissipates and Chappie calms down. But his little heart is beating so fast. Like it really scared him. And I felt bad too, because I'm like, oh my God, is this part of where his anxiety comes from? Like there's clearly something in this house. Maybe it messes with him.
I don't like that.
No, I don't like it either. And like, again, it wasn't like the little ghost boy was like, I will get you. But it's just like, what the fuck? What? Like, it didn't feel good, especially. Ooh.
Makes me sad thinking about when he's there by himself.
I know. Well, I think that's part of why he like never is.
Yeah.
He never is, you know?
Yeah.
But like, when the boy was in the corner of the room, it wasn't good. Like, it was nasty energy. Like, it wasn't like, again, like, it wasn't like evil, but it was just like, ew, like, what the fuck do you want? Get out of here. You know, like, I think it likes to mess with the Chappie.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen if you had acknowledged it? If you had said, go away, you're not wanted here, and looked at it and acknowledged it and sent it away, do you think it would have... I mean, I know that sounds like an awful thing to do. I would have done the same thing. I would have ignored it as well.
The TikTok, like the scram.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Leave her alone.
Yeah. I just feel like there's always like one of two ways that it goes, especially when, here's the biggest thing I've noticed in my 30 years of dealing with spirit, right? If it's not your space, the spirits are like, get fucked.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's something very strange, which I don't understand, which I'm sure relates to like witchcraft in general and like, you know, landlines and words and binding, right? When it comes to a deed or a lease or something like that, of a very intentional binding form that's recognized by multiple people, of like a law or whatever that's held in a high regard by us as humans.
Yeah.
That is energetically strong enough sometimes to be able to act again as almost like this protection ward or ritual to keep spirits that are unwanted away.
Yeah.
And not always. For sure, not always. But there have been times where it's been like, hey, my name is on this lease. Your name is not. You do not have the right to be in here. get out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that works.
Yeah.
So anyway, when your name's not on the lease and you're just a passerby, it's like the stuff with my grandma's sheets, you know?
Yeah.
I told it, get out of here, leave me alone. And it kept fucking pulling the sheets off me, you know?
Ew. So gross.
It's so easy to make something mad, especially when it's like physically manipulating something around you, or it's like so physically present, like visually, that I'm like, yeah, I'm not willing to take the risk of pissing you off.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, again, if it's like, I'm leaving soon too. So whatever I choose to do could disrupt the ecosystem of the energy of this home after I go.
Yeah.
And especially if it's bothering this dog, I don't want to make it more mad so that it's...
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
It's something I'm learning a lot in life as I get older, in many circumstances where so much of me wants to be forceful or tough or aggressive and just like show my power. But I come to learn there's a different kind of power in standing my ground, staying neutral, and not showing emotion.
Yeah.
Especially when something wants to feed off of energy, it's better to not give it any energy at all, good or bad.
Yeah. Okay.
So long answer to that, but yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But if I was like staying the night, oh, bitch, I would have told him to get out. If it was an overnight sit.
Oh.
Sorry, y'all. Yeah.
Poor baby. God,
I know, he's just baby.
He's just a baby. I love that dog.
And baby.
Him a baby.
Okay, great. I've got one more story and then we'll wrap it up.
Cool.
When I first moved here, I lived uptown near where you live. And again, this isn't like a super crazy cool story, just another one. So anyway, one night we were trying to sleep, couldn't sleep at all. It had been storming a lot. Like it was like rain. It's like when I first like experienced like East Coast intense downpour rain, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of spiritual activity in the 3-bedroom we were subletting in. But this one night, this man literally walked into our room, gym shorts, white A shirt, long curly ponytail, and just walked in and looked super drunk or like super high. And I like started when I saw him come in, I grabbed Jordan's shoulder, like I was gonna wake him up and shake him, like. Yeah. But then again, I saw that opacity, right? Yeah. He's just a little bit see-through. And also I realized the door didn't open.
Oh,
you know, yeah. Like he just came through the door. But he like looks down at us and he like looks at the door and he like itches his head and he like looks and looks. And I was like, get out of here. He just goes, sorry.
Wait, that's so funny.
Like literally like it's like a drunk spirit or something. Like, it's so funny. Just like looking around, scratching his head. Get out of here. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God. And I remember you telling me that. I feel like that was like the first time that you really told me.
Oh, yeah.
When you told me about all this and you were like, yeah, I saw someone. And I was like, what?
So yeah, I would say that's, you know, truly about 30% of the stories of what I've experienced, just like in New York City specifically. So there's so much more to tell, but you know, we're already going to do a part 1 and part 2 of this episode. So let's just get the ball rolling. I'd love to talk a little bit about the New York City specific hauntings because Jordan was there for a couple of them. Mm-hmm. And Sierra, you know most of these stories, but I'd love to get the perspective from Jordan as well. So the first one I want to start with was the first time we ever came out here to see the apartment. Do you remember during 2021?
Yeah.
It was the first time I ever came out to New York. And we were in the apartment and it was filled with the previous owner's like furniture and art and everything. Everything.
Yeah. Used refrigerator with stuff still in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was in the restroom specifically, not using, just looking. And I felt this very like feminine presence. I thought, oh, there's something very much still here. It feels like a feminine presence, and it's maybe a little lost or confused, but it's here. Like there's something here. And so we left that day, and I feel like our overall impression of the apartment was like, it's small, but it's great. But I was like, it's definitely haunted though.
Yeah, like most New York apartments, it was more shocking to be like, well, we were coming from the West Coast.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were living with another couple in a much larger place. And
Yes.
we were like, okay, can't wait to see this place. And what was really terrifying was the size, the square footage. We walked away. The consensus was like, it's small and it needs some TLC, but it's great.
Yes. So after moving forward and officially moving in, and the photos and everything coming off the walls and moving out, we discovered actually what bad shape the apartment was in, just in terms of the quality of the walls. The floors, there are still but blood stains that we don't know where they're from.
I know what they're from.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
From?
I'm not allowed to tell.
Oh, this is a moment. I'm having deja vu. Literally of Jordan saying, I'm not allowed to tell. And
I'm
then
not
me
at liberty
saying
to say.
exactly how. And that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it
Pee-pee
stopped.
poo-poo?
No. Yeah, and it stopped right before pee-pee poo-poo.
That's typically how we cut off the deja vu.
Yeah.
Is by just going free association with pee pee poo poo.
Yeah. Correct. Accurate. Okay, yeah, so we started doing a lot of TLC. We got some quotes to repaint the apartment, and the lowest thing was like around $10,000, something wild. So we said, okay, we're gonna do it ourselves. We're gonna watch some YouTube videos, we're gonna get the tools, we're gonna really dig in and do it. And
if our co-op is listening to this, we're
No,
joking.
we didn't.
We're joking. This didn't happen. This isn't real. If you are a part of the co-op that we live in, this isn't real.
they don't know us. They don't know this.
No, Courtney, for legal reasons,
We did it.
We didn't do. No, it's a joke. She's joking, and she's so funny. This is satire. Can you come over here for a second? Are you trying to fucking get me sued? Like, this is terrible. We could get fined a lot of money.
They don't
if
know
I
us.
find out.
They don't know us.
What do you mean they don't know us? Can you come over here away from the
Yep.
mic? I just want to say I love you very much.
I love you too.
Okay. All right, let's get back to that. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
kiss?
come on. Oh, okay,
Right.
come on. Okay.
Sorry, we had to step out for a second.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no. Take it, please.
Okay, so I want to get to the juicy story of us beginning to sand, paint, clean, and there was a piano left, an upright standing piano that was the previous owners in the unit. It took up so much space of this very small space. It was such, this hindrance, just so annoying, because everyone was hearing about it and saying, oh, you guys have to keep it, you're musical theater people, how awesome. And we're thinking, where are we gonna put this? We're not gonna be able to have a couch. And also, for the neighbors, they want to hear us badly learning to play piano in here. But the spirit of the previous owner was very attached to this piano. So when we started, cleaning and painting, we put the drop cloths over it to protect it. But, while painting, Jordan set his water bottle on top and some other things. And I said, don't put stuff on the piano. And he was like, why? And I was like, the spirit doesn't like it. And he's like, oh, okay, the spirit doesn't like it. And he put his water bottle on the piano. And we turned around and started painting with our rollers again, and woof, bam, the piano, the water bottle flew off the piano and hit the wall and was rolling. Mm-hmm. So not ooh, it tipped off. It clearly looked like somebody bonked it and it flew down onto the floor. And I looked at Jordan and I said, I told you he doesn't like it.
And I said, I don't care what he likes. And I put it right back on.
No, you didn't. You were scared.
I wasn't scared.
Lies.
I was a little freaked out, yeah.
Anything else you want to share about that day, how you were feeling?
For people who are listening to this, we live in a shoebox of an apartment, and it is 500 square feet. And,
not even, yeah.
And the living room is half of that. And so imagine a piano, an upright piano that is roughly 400 square feet large and taking up so much space. I didn't know if there was something wrong.
I'm just checking. But you said the piano was 400 square feet.
Yeah, the piano felt like it took up 400 square feet, and you couldn't not notice this piano. And it was difficult because we were trying to get it out. We spent like months trying to move the piano down to the basement of the building, and it just kept getting put off and put off. And so, oftentimes what would happen would we'd forget something would go on the piano, like a brush or something like that, or a drink would find its way on the piano, and then like inevitably it would get knocked off on the bottom to the floor.
Really?
Yeah, which was very funny. But the other thing I do remember is the lights that we would so we had these work lights that we bought from Home Depot.
Oh my God, this is right. I'm so glad I forgot about this.
Because there was no electricity, there was no like lighting fixture set up. We had like lamps, like old dead lamps.
Like two, yeah.
And so at a certain point we were like, okay, it's getting dark. We want to be able to have like lights, easy lights that we could maybe just pop up somewhere, stick up somewhere, and then hit it like a work light. And
they're battery powered touch lamps, yeah.
Thank you, the battery powered touch lamps. So we bought a couple of those from Trader Joe's. we bought a couple.
You mean Maui Mike's?
Yeah, Maui Mike's. Oops. We bought a couple of those from Home Depot, sponsorship, and we had them kind of off and. Sorry, I'm butchering this story. Okay, so we had a bunch of them, and we kind of kept them on the piano in the corner of the room at this point. And at the same time, we're going through everything. We're trying to get rid of the art. We're trying to get rid of, donate things to the building that we think the building might like. There was a lot of art. There were some
photographs.
There were some photographs of people, and there were some like sketches of the building that were pretty cool. But like we wanted to give that to the building. It's a historic building, so they had someone from the board of the building come up to take a look at some of the stuff. And this is in the evening, so it's dark, and we have our lights turned off.
We just have the lamp on.
Yes. And this member from the board comes up, and as he's coming up, we hear like he was really good friends with the previous resident.
Oh.
And so he was really sad when he passed, and they were really close because the old resident, William, was also on the board. And so they worked together a lot. And when he walked in to take a look at some of the art, he stepped into the living room, and we're showing him, like, here's this painting, this painting, this painting. And then the lights in the corner of the room start flickering on and off. These lights are off. No one's touching them. They haven't been malfunctioning. They just start fluttering on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. Courtney and I know what that means.
Yeah.
Right? We are aware. One, there is a ghost, there's a spirit here of the past resident who at best is neutral about us.
Yeah, at
right?
best.
Doesn't love us and that we're in his space, doesn't hate us, right? And I think what I know at this point that Courtney doesn't know is that this man who's visiting us was friends with William. And so we're like, oh, there's activity here. There's activity happening. He doesn't sense anything. William's friend doesn't sense anything.
Yeah, and he's deep in conversation, not recognizing that this is happening at all. Yeah.
And then he's like, what's going on with those lights? And we're like, they're just some work lights. And he's like, yeah, you got to get some lighting up here. And he like details how he would install lighting,
and all this. And we're like, we're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. So that was really funny. My dad was visiting at the time, and when we finally said goodbye to this board member, closed the door and he left, and Court and I were like, did you see that?
Yeah.
And instantly we're in our own world. I was like, and he was apparently one of William's best friends.
Yeah.
And my dad is like, "What's going on?" What are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
And that's a perfect impression of my dad. And
No, it's more like this. What's going on? What are you guys talking
fair.
about?
Yeah. And so we give him the rundown. He's like, "Wow." He was so
He's
taken
like,
back.
"He's
He's like, "He's here. He's here with us."
He's so, yeah.
And Courtney goes, "Yeah, actually, since you're here right now, would you mind, since you are like, you have ownership of this place now, would you mind kind of like telling him
like politely asking him,
stating that this is now your property,
apartment.
this is your apartment, this is your home, he has to leave now."
Well, like, could you ask him to follow the light and go be with his family? Because we knew he had other family for sure that were local that had passed.
Yeah.
And Courtney didn't even get the sentence out before my dad was like, "William,
Yeah.
leave this place." And he got into it.
Yeah. I forgot about that. He did.
He got into
But
it.
it was like heartfelt. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, it was
Aw.
like, you lived a long life. You lived here. It's a beautiful spot. The kids are going to take care
You're
of
gonna take
it.
such good care of it.
Oh, so sweet.
This is ours now. And I was like sitting by Jordan just like, perfect. Yes. Great.
It's so cute.
Amazing. Thank you.
And did it work?
No. So So the first night we ever slept in the apartment, it was actually
Yeah.
literally like 3 years ago to the day almost.
Really?
Yeah, it was the September 22nd, 2021.
Yeah, 2021.
Wow. And, I had put up a lot of spiritual protection above the door, and I had tried to make these sort of negotiations with spirit, as I'll talk more about in the future, of, I understand you have a connection here. I'm not forcing you to leave. I'm not, trying to be aggressive or violent. I just want to have a mutual negotiation that this bedroom is now where we sleep. It's our safe place. If you want to hang out, because you're still, working through things energetically, you just passed, just hang out in the living room so we can sleep in here. I think he passed, maybe not because of, but in his older age, I think he had dementia. I know I've told you this before, but the night we were laying there and I just felt someone in the room watching us, and I looked up, and it was the first time I saw him fully full apparition, features, everything. And he was just standing over the bed and looking down with this very confused face, his very furrowed brow. And I said, "Okay, hi, please leave." And he said, "The kids are moving in?" Like a question. And I said, "Yeah, the kids are moving in." And he said, "The kids are moving in." And I was like, "Yeah, go out."
He was in a Meisner class. So
Sure did.
this was part of, you asked me to do this.
No, it's
This is what I bring to a podcast environment.
But he kind of paced like 2 or 3 times at the end of the bed, looking at the ground, digesting the information, looking a little confused, but he kept saying, "The kids are moving in. The kids are moving in." He looked back at us. He looked like, towards the door, like he's as if he was looking out, but the door was closed, but spiritually, right, he's looking out the door. And then he just went into the other room. So we slept okay, but based on how he was understanding and his whole energy of feeling very lost and very confused, I think he did have maybe Alzheimer's or dementia or something at the end of his life there, which also could explain why his spirit was so trapped and so stuck there, right? So it took, I'd say, probably about a year, but that Halloween was a really good positive push, with, as I believe, the spirit of the veil opening up and everything becoming thinner. I really tried to reach out to, we knew his brother had also passed who had lived nearby, and ask him to come and help William to cross over, right? And again, this wasn't out of like a selfish, like, I want this is mine now. But, he's lost, he's sad, he's confused. He felt trapped. So he, like anyone, it's like, yeah, it's your time to move on. Go to the light, go to be happy, or go to your place. So I haven't felt William specifically in the apartment, I think since like early 2022. Any remnants of William specifically. But there were a lot of nights, those first like 6 months where like it was like, oh boy, dude, come on, But that night at the end of the bed, it was I think maybe one of only 2 times I saw him like fully that clearly waking up out of that night.
When you were talking to him, were you talking to him like verbally?
I was actually whispering verbally that night.
You were
he was out.
You slept through the whole thing?
Yeah, I slept through the whole thing.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So, cool. Thanks.
You want me to corroborate this?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I saw him and I kind of like, it felt like longer than it was, but I was that kind of wake up like,
Yeah.
he's like, and it's like, go, the kids are moving in. Yeah, the kids are moving in. Kind of like at that level. But I wasn't like, the kids are moving in. And Jordan's like,
okay, gotcha.
I know.
All right.
There's also been stuff like, I've gotten covers pulled off on me. I've gotten just like, not like, but like.
Oh, God.
At the apartment?
Yeah, at the
Oh
apartment.
my God,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Sure.
There's not much to share other than that. Like, I was asleep and then
This is when it was like a dark energy had snuck in, kind of, it felt, right? Like when we saged.
I don't remember the timeline of this. I just remember there were 2 times where I've been in bed and, I had blankets on me, but I'm a warm sleeper, so I'm always sleeping on top of the blankets. So this is one of the times that I was underneath the blankets, and then just like it just kind of like someone flicked the blanket corner off from my shoulder.
Oh my gosh!
And it just kind of was like what the fuck?
Was I in there with you?
Yeah.
But I was asleep.
Yeah, you were asleep. Yeah.
Oh.
No, you were by the bed flicking the. It wasn't one of those things where you moved and the covers moved. It was, it was just like, oh well, something. And then the other time, I just felt like someone brush my.
That's what I remember.
Yeah,
I remember
my
the
upper
one
arm.
of
Yeah.
You told me it felt like someone touched you, and and like a bunch of bad stuff had happened that week, and I wasn't sleeping well either, and I was like, yeah, we need to do a clearing, but I didn't know about. I don't remember the blanket one.
Mm-hmm.
Eek.
Yucky.
I don't like it.
All right, that concludes the first chapter of our East Coast Hauntings and Lore saga. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to have so many more stories coming from the East Coast, so keep those ears open because more stuff is happening every day.
Thanks so much for listening. Remember, you are not alone if you've ever heard a bump in the night or caught something out of the corner of your eye. There are countless others who experience things they can't explain. And this podcast is your safe place to listen and share. Also, I want to remind everyone that this show is for entertainment purposes. I am not a professional paranormal investigator. I did not go to school to study this. I can only speak about my firsthand experiences. And with that, I'd love to mark the importance of spiritual inclusion. Your thoughts, ideas, and theories about the other side are welcome. And we know that so much of our common knowledge and perception about the paranormal stems from historical and cultural experiences. So we are open to your knowledge and understanding of things that we may be ignorant about or not fully understand. Let's learn and grow together. Stay spooky, and we'll see you next time. Hey ghoul friends, got a spooky story to share? Well, I want to hear about your haunts. Whether you've seen a ghost or something unexplainable, send your supernatural experiences to us at jauntyhaunts@gmail.com. That's JAUNTYHAUNTS@gmail.com. Or DM us on Instagram at jauntyhauntspod. That's jauntyhaunts_pod. You can also find us on TikTok and YouTube under Jaunty Haunts Podcast. I want to hear from you.